Welcome to the Crimeycade. I am Magnus of the Cryfighter, Stephen Lucas, former Game of the Year, 1991 Nintendo Campus Challenge National Champion, and most recently the 2023 Pinball Expo Champion. And tonight, you heard the Zelda music, and we're just going to get right to it as this gentleman is a longtime tenured member of the Galloping Ghost community. He was actually, I'd like to say he was there from almost the very beginning. As soon as Galloping Ghost Arcade actually opened for business way back in August of 2010. And that's a long time, 14 years. 14 years as a regular at the Galloping Ghost Arcade. I've been a regular for 10 years, or 11 now, but I don't hold the record for longest tenure. So, introducing our guest for tonight, and he's held multiple titles at Galloping Ghost Arcade, and I don't want to catch him off guard. Is he ready? He's weapon. All right, I think he's ready. He cuts one of the best promos at Galloping Ghost Arcade and former 10X champion, multiple time hardcore champion. I think he's somebody that should have won the Gamer of the Year title by now, and hopefully he will. Here he is, the Mases Hagopian. How are you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good, Mr. Lucas.
Thank
Mr. Conservative Crime Fighter.
Yes, I'll have the nickname from the wrestling days, and
I got a question.
Yes.
Is the mad, is this supposed to be like a Doc Brown, like crazy mad? Or angry mad?
Some people say I'm angry. Some people say I'm crazy. Mad just about covers it all.
Yes.
All right. Well, so let's start off. You've been at it for at the Galloping Ghost for 14 years now. It's been that long. Yeah.
Correction. I was not there opening day.
No, not there opening day.
Day two? Yes.
Well, I thought I did say almost from the beginning.
Although, I don't know if you know this. Fun story about the first day of the Galloping Ghost. When they opened, I want to say they ran for, it was something like not quite 70, almost 72 hours straight. They were open. When they opened on Friday, they stayed open overnight, Friday night, overnight, Saturday night. They never closed for 3 days. So, which is crazy.
I do remember you saying that. I had to go back and listen to your old interview from 2016 as a bit of show prep, and there's a lot of history over the last 14 years, and there's videos of Galloping Ghost during its opening days.
Yeah,
from 2017, still out there.
It was a different world back then. It was a much more well, there was space.
Yeah.
You could see windows. You weren't hitting people when you were playing games. It was exciting.
Right. So you found out about the Galloping Ghost opening. How did anybody clue you in? Did you see advertisements, or how did you find out?
Actually, one of my buddies was a regular at the Harlem and Irving Plaza Cyberstation and had just closed, like right at the same time as GGA opened, maybe like 6 months earlier, something like that. And so I was kind of involved in that community a little bit. And there were some talks of like, hey, there's this new arcade opening. So Me and my best bud Vic, we went that second day. I mean, there was no
So when you
marketing
got
or anything. I don't even know how
right
he actually found out about it. I don't know how, but
now, when you walked in there for the very first time, do you remember what you put your hands on first?
I remember playing Junior Pac-Man. Don't know why, but I played that. Um, Funny thing is, I never played Junior Pac-Man. That was not a common game in my era because I'm just 30 years younger than you. So um, when I was
Well, you
going to
said you
arcades,
were born in
I'm 12.
'86, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
So about
Uh,
15 ahead and 15 behind, or 15
Ahead,
ahead.
not behind. Thank you.
Yeah, ahead.
Uh,
Yes.
we don't use the words behind when we're describing me compared to you. Okay. Um,
Well, I'm trying to get it together.
yeah, yeah. um,
I had a few drinks beforehand, so
oh, so some Diet Pepsi. Uh,
well, I have Diet Coke, yes, and a few glasses of wine.
some Diet Coke that'll make Mr. Lucas a little tipsy.
Both. I had both. Let's put it that
Okay,
way.
okay. Well, I
Have
want
a
to see
little more
Hammered
fun.
Lucas. Can we get one of those streams?
I'd have to have a lot more drinks.
Oh, okay. All right.
I haven't had enough. I had a few, but not enough. I had more drinks yesterday, and
Oh.
that sent me to bed sooner. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember playing Junior Pac-Man. I mean, there were only I don't know, maybe even less than 100 games or about 100 games. I think officially they opened with 180 or something. But I mean, it was a different world that first weekend. It was because Doc had all the games. There were basically 2 rows of games,
Mm-hmm.
and all the games were everything he had. I think was on the floor. But I mean, there were games that just were off and broke, not even not working. There were cabinets with no monitors in them. There was it
A
was just
few.
everything he had was just there. There were a lot of games with flat screen monitors at the time as well. A lot of games that were just not on. There might have been about 100 games, maybe a little more. I don't know, something like that. But I played a lot of the classics. He still had a lot of I remember playing Mortal Kombat. I played Galaga. I played 1942, stuff like that. He had the
You know what?
versus the Red Tens. I remember the Nintendos, the Nintendo Versus system, the little sit down Red Tens. I remember he had those at launch.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
did have that.
he
Actually,
didn't he didn't have the console cabinets yet, but I think that was there on my second visit because I
I'm
remember.
pulling up video right now. This is this is uh this is video footage from 14 years ago,
Is this
and
opening weekend?
I believe so. This is video on YouTube when from 2010. And I remember in the previous anniversary year, I was reposting a lot of videos from back in the day to celebrate, I guess, one of Gump and Ghost's milestones. There's a couple of cabinets with an without a monitor. Yes, we just passed a couple there. Um,
Oh, this is the back wall, the old back wall.
yeah, there was party rooms back then too.
This is very bustling right now. I don't know what this must have been some sort of special event because uh is this the rave? Why is there something this is an
This is a
insane amount of
walkthrough.
people. No, but the
Yeah,
amount
I
of people
believe.
here is there's some sort of event going on because truth be
Let me
told,
see the date on this. It was, yes, August 14th, 2010.
so this is opening weekend then. This is the
Yeah,
first day.
believe it or not.
Uh because one thing about this place, this is a bit of an anomaly, this one,
Hmm.
because if you went when I was going regularly in early 2021 or 2011, uh, it was a no pun intended, but it was a bit of a ghost town. Like I'd regularly be there on a Friday at 10 o'clock, and sometimes there'd be 5 people there, maybe.
Hmm.
There was regularly times where I was at the arcade where there was nobody at the arcade. I mean,
I imagine during the week, during the daytime.
like, yeah, no, I only usually in the early days I almost exclusively went Friday evenings.
Hmm.
Uh, Sort of for a counter reason to now, because nowadays you generally want to avoid Fridays and Saturdays at the Ghost if you can because it's too crowded. But back then, like, I didn't want to be in the arcade by myself, so I would go on a Friday because at least I would think there was like 5, 6 people at the minimum, but there would be a handful of people. This is insane. This video. This must have been literally like the first day,
Yeah,
because this
or
is
day
not.
two.
This is certainly not what it was like for the first, I'd say, like 4 years of the Galloping Ghost.
No, and a lot of these games we're looking at now are in different locations in the arcade, and there's a few in this video that are no longer on the arcade floor either, like Double Dragon 3. Yeah, Double Dragon 3 is on the arcade floor. It's in with a double, I think it's right next to Double Dragon 2 or in the same cabinet. I don't remember.
Remember down here at the end and on the right, these are the Mortal
In
Kombat games 1, 2, and 3. The
Empire
back right
City,
corner.
that we just walked by a game that's not on the arcade floor that I don't believe Empire City is, yeah, not there. Looks like a few machines are missing the marquees. Hmm. And Mortal Kombat's like in the opposite side of the arcade. That's
I
another
remember it being in that
interesting.
back corner because I played a lot of Mortal Kombat 3. I'm a fan
Mhm.
of, like, I'd say a casual fan of Mortal Kombat. And I remember the shmups were, if you can imagine where Stern Row is right now, if at the arcade with like Berserk and Frenzy and Tutankhamun and Bagman, that row,
I
that
think
used
I
to be
just
where the
saw it.
shmups that used to be where the shmups were. And
Right.
I remember playing a lot of shmups and looking down the aisle at Mortal
And
Kombat
that's it.
because I'd be waiting for. I would wait to see people play Mortal Kombat so I can head over and play them.
I do recall that, yeah, Doc had, yes, he had Double Dragon 3. That's why he hates it so much, is because he put it really soured on him over time, Tracy. So I guess let's get into it. So you as a gamer and born in the mid 1980s, just after the heyday of Pac-Man and Donkey Kong ruled the arcades. What was the hook that got you into gaming in general?
Gaming in general, well, I had my oldest brother is 12 years older than me, and
Mm-hmm.
I have vivid memories of this would be 1990, I think, because I was too young to
Mm-hmm.
go to school, so I must have been 4. But my oldest brother would be off at both my older brothers would be off at school, but I'd still be home. And I remember he had an original Nintendo, and I remember it being in his room, and it was up top on a cabinet, and I have to pull the chair and climb up and on top of the furniture just to get to the console. And I remember playing Super Mario Brothers. I remember playing Top Gun. Some I don't even remember. We had a lot of sports games, Double Dribble. So
8-Bit Brody's favorite game.
Double Dribble.
Yes.
It's a, it's
Well,
a
he's never played it, but he's always trying to trade up from a double dribble.
oh well, it's a pretty terrible game or a fun game. Like because there's you just I don't know if you play. Have you played Double Dribble?
I have I have the Sega Genesis version of Double Dribble as well, the
Oh,
sequel.
I didn't know that was a thing, but I know in Double Dribble on the
It does
Nintendo.
exist. Yes, I discovered it, and after I had 8-Bit Brody on my podcast, I bought a copy of it
You would just
to
in Double
hold on
Dribble,
to.
you just go to the corner and you jump out of bounds and shoot a 3-pointer, and it goes in every single time. So
Really?
you would play a head-to-head game, and the final score would be whatever 180 to 177 because one person missed one 3-pointer and the other person didn't miss one the whole game, and that was that was what separated the boys from the men.
Well, they got Double Dribble on the arcade floor, so I wonder if
That's
that
terrible.
trick actually works.
No,
Because you probably
game.
should. Different game?
Yeah,
you couldn't.
Double Dribble on the Nintendo is one of the few games. There's a handful of them where I would say the Nintendo version is a far superior version than the arcade. I would say Double Dribble is in that category for sure.
Okay. But the game that really hooked you, you'd say it was Super Mario?
No, like I was too young to really know anything about video games. 4, like.
Right.
Then we got a Genesis, and then we had a Super Nintendo, and it was probably Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past was probably my first game that I like really enjoyed. I really liked. And then yeah, I mean we got a PlayStation 1, and then we always had 2 systems at a time, but we traded one to get another, and then once we got to the Nintendo 64, then my brothers kind of stopped playing video games. But I would say Zelda: Link to the Past on Super Nintendo. That's my game. It's my jam.
I couldn't help but notice, but it looks like you have a complete set of Nintendo Power magazines on the bookshelf.
Almost complete. Missing a few select issues that I will eventually like to collect, but I'm a bit of a collector, and I even got it's a little off screen, but oh no, you can see them on the right. Oh,
well, let me switch views here. There we go.
There you go. If you go a little further to the right, there's after the last issue of Nintendo Power was, I believe, December of 2012. And then January of 2013, there was a magazine, Nintendo Force magazine. It's like a spiritual sequel. And it literally started the next month. And I don't have the whole collection of that, but I'm working on it. But I have, bit of a collector. I got a lot of my books. You don't see all of them, but yeah.
No, I almost have a complete collection, and the only reason I'm missing any issues at all is when the subscription ran out and I didn't renew it quick enough. So I'm like, there's a donut hole. Mm-hmm. I've got to identify which issue is missing and then find it at a gaming convention somewhere. Of course, my mom did not help. She threw 1 or 2 issues away for some reason, and I had to go rebuy them, which was annoying.
Sad.
I know. It wasn't very many. It was like a couple, but I managed to get them back, but good grief. Don't interfere with my collection. Anyway. So you split your time between Gulp and Ghost. Now, you're also a prominent member of the Underground Retrocade as well.
Well, Retrocade is like it's a stone's throw from my house. It's like 5 minutes away. I would say, the Retrocade's my home arcade. That's like I'm there pretty regular, somewhat regular, I would say. And anybody who hasn't been to Retrocade, I think it's just a fun place to be. It's a good atmosphere. A lot more. There's actually space, and
yeah.
And Scott, the owner of the arcade, is one of my best friends. So I go in there and hang out with him all the time. And, yeah, I love it there. It's great. I mean,
Show this.
the Ghost is a bit of a trek for me to get to. I mean, not nearly what it takes you to get there, but like sometimes I usually try to go on Mondays, but I mean, it can take an hour and a half to get to the Galloping Ghost from my house on Mondays usually. So
see, I would kill for it to be an hour and a half instead of 3 hours, 3.5, 4.
Yeah. Well,
that's 200-mile commute is yeah. It's quite a distance.
I see you have it up there. Yeah, there's Arcade Ross, one of the regulars at the Retrocade, is doing a food drive, and he's put a bit of an arcade kind of tournament attached to it, the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of Thanksgiving. So I'll be there probably on Saturday for a bit to play.
I'm wondering what the prices are. Yeah, I'm looking at this. I'm kind of chomping at the bit for more arcade tournaments. And lately it's been all either pinball tournaments or fighting games and Mario Kart.
I feel like arcade tournaments are a thing of the past around here. They're like non-existent.
Yeah, and I hate that. But yeah, I'm looking at this. I don't know. I haven't been to Underground Retrocade in several years. It's kind of out of my way, and then it's like I haven't gone up there because basically it's Galloping Ghost is closer, obviously. Plus, I'm buying the yearly passes now, and I've been doing that for the last 4 or 5 years.
Don't they give you a pass when you won Gamer of the Year?
They give me something. I mean, a trophy, the belt. I don't know if they gave me a yearly pass. It's probably because I buy them in June. It's when the renewal date comes up.
I'm pretty sure you get an annual pass if you win Gamer of the Year.
They might give me one. I don't remember.
It's the Galloping Ghost. Nobody tracks these things. Has anybody ever told you, oh, your date is coming up on your renewal date?
Well, I have the card, and it has the date printed on there, so I kind of have it in my head.
Do you show your card?
I haven't had to. They do know I'm so well known that they do know who I am, and then they do know how long my year pass is. And I do I don't make them figure out when my pass is expired, because I do have, because I'm traveling up from Central Illinois. It's like the month of the year is pretty much when I know it's getting close to time to renew my pass.
I think the first time I got an annual pass on my third visit. I think that would have been February of 2011, and I think I just had the annual pass for like 18 months before anybody ever said like, oh yeah, by the way, your annual pass is over. So then I got another annual pass, and I think that one lasted about 20 months. And then I just got a lifetime pass after that.
Yeah. I looked at the lifetime pass. It's like, you don't know what the future brings. And I've seen some people who have a lifetime pass and never use it. Like Dan Nicovelli. He has a lifetime pass. When's he been to Galloping Ghosts?
Well, I mean, I think I can't speak for Dan, but I imagine it's probably a similar story. I got my lifetime pass. It was not for any intention of actually just getting a lifetime pass, but it was like back the Galloping Ghost. You got to remember, like up until I'd say 2015. I think 2015, maybe even late 2014 was like the year where, like, I'd say it made it, if that makes sense. because if you went to the Galloping Ghost was not an overnight sensation, I would say. Like in 2011,
Right.
12, and 13, they were doing okay, but it was not like massive kind of thing. Like, so they were doing a fundraiser to do an expansion, and I donated to the expansion. And I mean, they had like different tiers of donations, and one of them was a lifetime for, I think it was $2,500 at the time. And I donated 5,000 for it, and yeah, got a lifetime. But it was more to support the arcade and the expansion at the time when they needed it, because at the time they didn't have they weren't doing anywhere near the numbers they're doing now.
I see you have I think you have a feisty feline wanting to crash the stream, kind of like mine. Or I hear somebody off screen. It sounds like a cat. Might as well bring him on, because Cody will crash my stream at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's another one here.
Or is it a girl?
It's a girl. There's two of them.
It's a girl. She is beautiful. I have two cats in the house. Oh, neither one are in the room. If there was somebody in here, she would have been back there in the kitty bed.
We all know about your cats. We know you're a childless cat man.
Childless cat man. Well, it's better than being a childless cat lady.
Yeah, I
mean, I have to babysit other people, Wow. Yeah, anyway. We'll talk about that for much. Besides being the longest tenured, let me go to this. You have quite the love for Legend of Zelda and the entire Zelda franchise. What was it that got you to become a super fan of the series?
Well, I would say, like I said, I like the Super Nintendo game was my favorite game, I would say. And then I played a lot of the series, but then more so in the late 90s, around the turn of the century, I got involved in the early online Zelda fan community. And at the time, this was the Wild West of the internet. Nobody had established websites or anything, kind of. So I remember, I was into the fandom, so I made a small video game website, and it had a Zelda section, and that eventually kind of just grew and grew and grew. And so nowadays I run this website, Zelda Dungeon, and it's been 23 years since I've been running this thing. And now it's a significant part of my livelihood. This website gets 70,000 visitors every single day, about 150,000 page views every day. And it's basically part of my job.
She's wanting to crash the stream again. You might as well just let her sit in your lap.
No, she's not rude. She's not really a lap cat. She'll run away in a minute. The other one, Sandy, is just looking at me right now.
Anyway, I got your website up there. Yeah. You also do every year a kind of a couple week long Twitch stream where you're or you or your colleagues are playing through every Zelda game ever created, including the Philips CDI.
Yes, every year, the team at Zelda Dungeon, we've got a team of about 70 people, mostly volunteers. And they give me, each person dedicates a good amount of time every year. So every July we get together and we have a week-long party basically, and we do a charity marathon live stream, and it's 170 hours straight. where we play through the whole series and do all sorts of quirky gimmicks and fun ways to play the game and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so and we do it for charity. We've raised over $115,000 over the years.
And which charity is, let's say, benefiting?
We used to play for Child's Play. We did, but in recent years we've been streaming for No Kid Hungry, which is an organization that's fighting world hunger, and especially, it's a good charity. I think something like 91% of all donations go towards the actual charity. That's, a lot of charities don't have those kind of numbers, but and it's a good cause, and we've worked with them closely the last few years, and they're good people.
And when's your next one?
It's every summer, so sometimes June, sometimes July.
Kitty took off. Anyway, oh, there's the other one. She got mugged for the camera too. Although she's protesting a little bit.
Nah, she's okay.
Kind of looks like mine, although a lot more white in the fur. Yeah, she's pretty too. Anyway, so wow, she wanted out. She wanted out there. You've been coming for 14 years, and you're somebody that I kind of thought should have won Gamer of the Year by now. The closest you came to winning Gamer of the Year when you were in oh gosh, I should ask this. Was the marathon including the Zelda Game and Watches?
We have played both versions, yeah. In fact, last year we did a stream like there's Zelda Game Watch. It's literally a wristwatch game. One of them. There's one that's like it almost looks like a DS, like a dual screen kind of thing. But the wristwatch game, last year I played it, and what we did is I took the wristwatch, I put it on like a table, taped it down so it didn't move, set up a tripod, zoomed in so it was just on the little tiny screen, and we streamed that and put it on max. So you're looking at a screen that's maybe 1 inch by 1 inch that covered the full screen of a live stream, and a little playing it with the little buttons. But no, we try to do all the little stupid stuff. So that's the point of the event.
Now there's been a new game that's come out. Echoes of Wisdom.
Yep, just came out about like 8 weeks ago, end of September.
How far are you into it?
Oh, beating it several times over.
You've beaten it several times. Okay.
Well, it's work. It's not pleasure. I had to do like a full walkthrough for the game, that kind of stuff.
What are your thoughts on the game?
It's okay. It's okay. I don't think it's great, but it's okay. It's the first mainline Zelda game you actually don't play as Link. So
if you don't count the CDI games.
Mainline Zelda game, yep.
And it kind of seems like it's a continuation from the remake of Link's Awakening.
It's the same art style. Yeah. It's like almost like clay figure kind of people looking guys. It looks like you're playing a diorama. The graphics are really very cutesy. I like it.
I should ask, where do you see the Zelda series going?
Well, Zelda has always been a big franchise, but like it's in a new stratosphere now, because in 2017 when Breath of the Wild came out on Nintendo Switch, like put things in context, up until 2017, the highest selling Zelda game was Twilight Princess, which was on the GameCube and Wii, I mean, it was something like just over 8 like almost 9 million or something in that ballpark. Breath of the Wild came out in 2017, has sold 33 million. So the highest one ever was 9. This one sold 33. And it's a
Holy
totally different kind
cow.
of, yeah, it's a totally different kind of game though, because Zelda Breath of the Wild is an open world game. It's like got a massive overworld map where you can go do whatever you want. It totally broke all knowledge of prior Zelda games, any convention that there was. Like, it's not linear. There's no dungeon. The dungeons are a little different. Like everything is different. And that was such a massive success. There was a follow-up sequel last year in 2023. And I think these massive, massive open world games is the future of the series. That's the status quo. For better or for worse. I mean,
how many hours does it take to complete Breath of the Wild? Not necessarily speed run it, but for an average gamer.
If you're just doing, because it's one of those games where if you're just doing the main quest, kind of more or less, it's hard to play that game only doing the main quest because the whole point of the game is exploration. But I'd say the average person is probably going to put 50, 60 hours into it. But if you want to do like a 100% and do everything the game has to offer, it's probably about closer to 200 hours. And its sequel, Tears of the Kingdom, was even bigger. That's like a 300 plus hour game if you're doing everything. So these are big time sinks if you're, compared to the early games, even like on the N64, those are 10-hour games, 12-hour games or whatever.
Yeah, this is the problem with. So I think the last Zelda game I played all the way to completion was Twilight Princess. And that took about, I don't know, 6 months, I think.
Well, it's hard to quantify things in
off
in
and
playtime.
on.
In playtime, Twilight Princess is probably a 25 to 30-hour game, I'd say.
Well, I was going for basically getting completing every heart container, kind of maxing out the health of the character, and I guess 6 months may be kind of overstating it, but it took. I recall it took months.
If you're playing a couple hours a week, 6 months is not a very long time.
A couple hours a night, obviously, after work. Whatever I had, but
a couple hours a night for 6 months. That sounds like a normal person would beat it in 30 hours, but Stephen Lucas maybe 130 hours. That makes sense.
Because I want to see everything or find everything.
Nothing to do with that, but yeah.
Oh, you think I'm just doing it slowly? Oh, okay.
It's not a matter of what's fast, what's slow. It's a skill issue.
I don't know if it's so much of a skill issue. It's like I'm just looking for stuff, and not doing it without a guide for the most part. I'm just kind of looking and going through the dialogue and kind of exploring. But I'm not, let's say, rushing to beat the game, I guess. Just taking in the story as it goes along, and it's just a lot.
Okay.
I am no speedrunner. I know Doc seems to have more interest in speedrunning over scores lately, but
does he?
I kind of think he does.
It's Doc. Give it a week. He'll change his opinion.
I don't know, because this one's been it's been a topic of discussion I've been covering for the last several months, because I'm having issues with scores, and it's like they won't take my score because I didn't progress far enough in the game or scored too many points in the level, etc.
Well, I mean, it's one thing. I think this is a very minority small portion of games at the Galloping Ghost where it has a max score
Yeah.
that's I'm not even going to say easily achievable, but like is within reach to a good player. And there's games where there's I mean, there's not many of them, but there are a few games where there's multiple people that have the maximum score. I mean, there's some cards, I think like Bad Dudes is one of them, where there's like
Yep.
3 or 4 people that all have a max score. And at that point, it's like, how do you distinguish who's the best player at that particular game? If it even matters. I mean, you can just say they're all tied for first. But if you want
Yeah.
to have a speed run at that point, I think it makes sense. There's also other games, I think, where I was playing this game. Is it called Boomer Ranger? Is that what it's called? Where
Boomeranger.
yeah, where
Yes.
it's like he had to put a custom scoring system because the scoring system's broken with points. So it's like you have to progress. Like how many? I think in that game it's like how many letters you collected, or in some games it's how many levels you've gotten to. And I think in some games that makes sense because like especially if it's a house high, like it's stupid if you're just on the early stages and you're milking games. If you're just Lucasing the game and not actually progressing, whereas
More
somebody
like
who's a
James
far
Whiting the game, I think.
no Lucasing a game who's just far there's another player who's far better at the game and has progressed way further, but doesn't know that you can just punch the same guy in the face 150 times in a row and get a max score.
Here it is. That game. Behind this. This is Boomeranger. Um,
Yeah, so this has a wacky score system at the Ghost. So it depends how many. Every time you beat a level, you get a new letter.
mhm.
So it's a matter of how many letters you got rather than what your score was.
Although I kind of think nobody's playing this. Once they introduced this kind of wacky scoring system, I don't think anybody's tried to put in scores on this game.
I mean, Steven,
And
there's a
certainly
thousand
Twin Galaxies
there,
doesn't do this.
there's 1,000 games at the arcade, and there's like 8 people that do scoring. Like, like
I don't know about 8 people, but there was more back then, but things have kind of changed in the last few years.
I think about
Post
8 is pretty
COVID.
accurate. maybe 10.
I never stopped, I know that much.
Yeah, you're
Um,
one of the 10. I'm one of the 10. There's about 8 others, maybe 6 to 8 others.
well, Andrew's there, of course.
Yep.
Lately, who was it?
There's Andrew, Brad, Ben,
Brandon Travis,
Jose.
Chloe Gwynn. Who else? Brian. Oh, this said this game has a timer. Okay, didn't know that. I know. How's the timer work in this? Hang on, let me read this.
Who cares? We can move on from Boomeranger.
Oh, well, this would be a reason why. Although I
There
don't
you
know
go,
how to do
Chloe.
this.
See, that's why rules have to be made to make sure that they're Lucas proof.
I don't know about Lucas Proof. I did try it, but I couldn't do what James White was doing on it.
Do we ever, do we remember the famous video by former Game of the Year Fred DeHart, who I think he was playing. What was that? There was some garbage game where you had the world record, but Blood Brothers.
That was Tibbetts.
No, it was Fred. I remember it was Fred because I remember they were playing, and I think they went and just put I think he had like a receipt machine, like a calculator kind of looking thing, and they went to one corner and they just put it on the thing and they recorded and walked away from the machine because guys kept spawning and they just had the A button down and they came back whatever it was 2 hours later and the points were still racking up. And they showed that to Doc, and he kicked your score off the leaderboard. And now you have to progress. So now that game is Lucas.
Just had. Well, right now Matt Hall has it.
Well, he's an
or
actual legitimate
BBH.
player, so we don't have to worry about Lucas proofing Matt Hall.
I'll be honest. I think I'm responsible for the most human rule add-ons on the arcade games than, or at least I caused more rule add-ons than anybody else.
Yeah, I kind of figured, you commit the most arcade crimes. Isn't that why this is the Crimeycade podcast?
Well, they call them crimes. I don't know. It's like different points of view as to whether it's a crime or it should be fair game.
I think if you can put a receipt machine on the arcade and walk away and get a world record, that doesn't count. But
I'd like to see. Did they actually just walk away and they were automatically? It was just automatically hitting every grenade, every bullet, and every hawk, because the hawk absorbs a lot of damage before you get rid of it.
it was a part of the game where you didn't have to move. You just stood in the corner and guys endlessly came.
I have to throw that out there.
Thank you, Ross.
Just for full disclosure, Ross, I worked for the Illinois State Police for 15 years. So if I was a crime committer, they wouldn't have hired me and kept me around that long.
Goddamn public employees.
Speaking of that, we talked about, I don't know about Fox watching the Hen House. You're the 10X champion. You've had, or at least you've held the belt multiple times. At a certain point, Doc Mack decided, people are not fighting for that belt anymore. Andrew Wasco was just repeating as champion and doing it in record time. So he decided to do the red versus blue. I guess they call it the Team Commander series. And Andrew took one side, you took the other side. And you all had to pick a team of 4 players for your teammates.
It was a disaster because
I know.
in typical GGA fashion, there was no foresight whatsoever of how this was going to go, making up the rules. And okay, there's this idea of so I won that series or whatever. I won 5 first places, and then Andrew won the next one. And then it was like, all right, let's do a tournament. So, or like a head to head. I don't know, call me crazy here, but if it's a Monday tournament, it's based on all the scores from Monday. Why don't we host it, I don't know, maybe on a Monday and have the teams be comprised of, I don't know, people who are there on Mondays? But it turned into this pick whoever you want. And Andrew was recruiting people who don't even go to the arcade. And then it was we need to find a date. And it was oh, how about the Saturday of T20? Because people are going to be in from out of town. And it was why didn't we just do it the next Monday or the following Monday, or just pick a random day and say, this is it. Whoever's there is going to play. And it was just chaos. And we did it the Monday after T20 when.
And then it got rescheduled multiple times. And I was it was towards the end of my tenure at State Police because I basically, you picked me to be on your team. And so I tried my best to make it work. But then it got rescheduled after I showed up. And it's I did once.
I had told, I think it was Tommy at the time, I said, just pick a day. It could be 3 months from now on a Saturday. Just pick a day. Pick a day and stick to it. And they picked, I think it was the Saturday after the T20. And I was out of town that weekend and got back. I remember I was in Boston that weekend and I got back, I want to say at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. on Monday. And why?
Yeah, the mess, yes.
The anniversary week, it was the day before the okay. Could have been better.
Tracy was able to be on your on somebody's team. Yes, she was on your team. I couldn't be there because I already made. I tried once. I mean, I was at the end of my tenure and then starting the new job in August last year, and I needed to be at my new position. I also wanted to be. It's like I originally gave up my last day at state police so I could be there to help you battle Team Andrew.
So what happened? After 15 years, they realized they made a mistake, and that's how long it takes government officials to fire somebody?
No.
Oh, okay.
What was going on was I got a promotion, but for me to move up a job title, I could not. I had to go to a different agency. Now I applied for the same level of position at the agent at state police, but I got beat out by a colleague.
Wow.
So
that was probably a good decision.
It was
whoever did that hiring.
It was in house. It was not somebody from the outside coming in that beat me out for it. So it was fine. It was fine that he got the promotion. And I mean, it wasn't by tenure. I'll tell you that. It was by skills assessment. And he got a few more
that
points
makes more
than
sense then. That's for sure. I mean, definitely not tenure.
Well, if it was tenure, I would have gotten it. But
yeah, right, yeah.
He scored a few more he got a few more points than I did. So he just barely beat me out. So I ended up at another part of, now it's still under Department of Innovation and Technology, under that umbrella. Now there's been the threat of, well, my team at State Police getting integrated with Big Do It. So they may be pulled out of the location they're in and stuck in the same office or placed in the same building that I'm in.
It's very exciting news. Riveting content.
Yeah, I know. It's not very exciting.
Riveting content for this arcade podcast.
Unless you're trying to clean up somebody's mess. And by the way, updates to arcade gaming consoles have been a mess for tech support to deal with too. Bricked consoles because the wrong update got pushed out for PlayStation or Xbox.
Exciting news. Breaking news here in the Crimeycade podcast.
Well, I don't know about breaking, but anyway. Who won that, by the way? I don't remember. Was it you or Andrew?
I beat Andrew. Yeah. It didn't so. I mean, we literally found out the format of the Red versus what was it called again? The Commander series.
We found
out the format the day of, like 5 minutes before we started, and basically how it worked was each team had 4 members, and there were 5 games. So they announced the 5 games, and then the commander got to basically deploy which of his people can play which game. And then so I had 3 teammates. I remember Jay was on my team. He played Arkanoid. I think it was
Tracy.
Tracy was on my team, and I don't even remember who my other teammate was. And then the commander got to play 2 of the games. So they picked 5 games at random, and we played, and we won the first 3 games. So it was very anticlimactic. And like I remember we won because Jay put up 27,000, I think, on Arkanoid, the first Arkanoid, which is, I mean, nothing to like. You can get that on the first level if you're good. 27,000, and then he was playing against Andrew, and Andrew couldn't get, I think, 10,000 and died on the first level. And that lost him the entire series because he couldn't beat Jay in Arkanoid.
I wonder if they put that on his challenge card. They should.
Oh, there it is. The childless cat man and his cat.
Yeah, he's this goofball rescued from a tree, and other members of the family couldn't take him in, and I had to take him in. So, yeah.
Well, he's
vicious. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice somebody loves you.
He's an attention whore, so what he is. He has to crash everything, and he bites. Yeah. Anyway. Speaking of challenge cards, I have mine. You have yours. Right now, even if I wanted to, I couldn't complete my challenge card because I got 2 games that don't work on the floor. You have your challenge card, and you're thinking you might not complete it because of Street Fighter the movie.
Yeah, I gotta get
the case.
I gotta get 500,000 points on Street Fighter the movie, the game, and I mean, I think it's one of the 5 worst games at the arcade. I think it's a pretty atrocious game. It's not really fun to play, and 500,000 points is a score. You could beat the game and not get 500,000 points, actually, because I think you got to beat 13 guys or something to beat the game. I beat 7 or 8 of them and had like 190,000, because I'm not very good at the game. So, and it's just, I quit. I didn't want to do it anymore. It's just not fun. I don't play games if I'm not having fun. That's kind of my criteria. If it's not fun, forget it. Now, Pete Hahn was there this past week, and he showed me how to beat it. And it's in typical GGA fashion. It's a game where you get a guy in the corner, you just press the same button, and you stun lock him. You hit a combo and get 500,000 points at once. It's the dumbest thing in the world, and I'm just not going to do it. I don't want to.
And Nora Val was going to show you the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's a dumb game. Like it's pick something that's Lucas proof. Like you can't just sit there and do, like, it's dumb. That's not a video game. Like, so
it's broken.
Yeah, I mean, like some of the other players, one thing I mean, there's been a lot of like a resurgence in interest in scoring with these cards, which is exciting, actually. And some of the, I mean, they did a decent job of scaling the cards based on the level of play of the players. So Ben's probably the best player at the arcade, and they gave him some really tough things, especially now he's on his level 2 card, and there's some what I think are some insane things on there. And even his level 1 card there was some tough stuff. He had to get 60,000 on pole position, which is doable. But that was okay, that's a fun game.
60,000?
Yeah.
Jeez, that's you're trying to 1cc the game practically.
Pole position, I think the top score is 65 or something, or 64 or something. So it's you got to get up there. And I think Andrew had to get 150,000 on millipede, that's a really tough score. But those are fun, exciting games. I mean they're older games, but there's not too much to them. But hey, if you got to play millipede for a few hours, that's a fun game. Nobody's complaining about playing millipede. Street Fighter the movie, on the other hand,
the games I got on my card that's given me trouble, Dragon Slayer. The game the timing, or at least the quick time events in Dragon Slayer, is not consistent from one ROM set to another, And this Dragon's Lair seems to have a completely different timing system than several of the other versions. The question is, which version is it?
I've played Dragon's Lair. I'm not a very good player in Dragon's Lair, but I do like the game. I wouldn't mind if that was on my card, but it's a GGA game. The game's broken at the GGA. Something just doesn't work. It's not right. Because there's things I can do perfectly fine at Retrocade when I play that I can't do it. I can't do the rope swinging. I just can't get the timing, but I can do it regularly at the Retrocade. It's the same game.
I was able to do the rope swing. It's just trying to get past those, I guess, rocker boppers or whatever the heck those are, those spinning boppers. I can't run through them.
That's not the game. That's just a dumb level. Like, I don't think there's even the best players have trouble with that. I've heard it's just random, that one. But
I mean, I have the Daphne. I have the Daphne emulator loaded up, and I've been trying to practice Dragon's Lair on it. And you can pick ROM versions. It's just the question of which one is it? And there's like a dozen, including the prototypes.
Ask Doc. Isn't he very specific about what ROMs to make sure everything's set?
Why nobody wants to use Arcade? I don't think he can tell me.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I asked him, which one is it? But then again, it's like, how do you describe the ROM set without a list?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you can find out in the boot up sequence of the game, but I don't think it will. I think all the screens are read off the race. All the screens are read off the laser disc, but nothing's, let's say, computer generated text on the screen that'll tell you. But I don't know.
Yes.
Tracy says, "See the video of my friend Lee Ram once seeing Dragon's Lair. Let's see Lee Ram 1cc Galloping Ghosts Dragon's Lair and see how many times your friend gets tripped up by the different timing." Anyway, Tracy said you should, even if you don't like Street Fighter the movie, but can get the points, just complete it and then get your level 2 card. But pretty much tell them, do not put another crappy game like Street Fighter the movie on your next card.
I don't even want to. I don't want to play it. I don't play games if I don't have fun playing them. That's the bottom line. That's like my one criteria. Like, I don't like I enjoy the competition at times at the arcade, sometimes, but more times than I'm just playing as myself. Like, if something is not fun, I'm just not going to do it. So,
okay.
And that's my standard.
I do remember in your past interview, you say every time you make an appearance at the Galloping Ghost Arcade, you put in a score on 3 new games that you've never played. Is that
I tried to do that, but that's I mean, it got to a point where there was a period of time where I had a score on every working machine at the arcade, other than I think there was 10 games I didn't have a score. But a lot of those games, there's a lot of games you can get scores, but it's very difficult. There's games, like one game I'm trying to get a score on. I play pretty regularly. I think it's one of the big aliens extermination. I think it is.
Yeah.
But you have to beat the first level because you can't see a score unless you beat a first level, and it's a tough game. I've played. And all the scores that exist for it were done on day 1, I believe, or the first week, because then they were on the leaderboard. But there's no leaderboard because that just perpetually saves scores, and you can continue and get crazy high scores or whatever. So anyway, nobody will ever get a score in that game ever again unless they beat level 1, which it's not impossible. I'm not going to sit here and say that. I'm just not. That's not generally my genre of games.
Mhm.
But there's games like that. There's a game, Brave Firefighters is another one where it's very similar. You have
Yeah,
to beat a level. But I think the thing is not that, like, I'm probably never going to get scores on a couple games. But yes, generally, when I go to the arcade, well, nowadays I have like my own individual objectives I have right now. I have like a spreadsheet of all the games, and I'm trying to up my scores on a whole bunch of games. And yeah, but I like playing a variety. I generally don't like sitting on a game for more than 20 minutes or 30 minutes. I'll play, 6, 7 games every time I'm at the arcade, if not more.
I did. The spreadsheet is a great idea. I ended up doing that. I do need to update it because it's been quite some time since I have updated it. So I put in a lot of scores the last few months and took a few house highs for a while before somebody beat it. Before somebody beat them, like Andrew. um, Tell me about some of the scores you have now that you, I guess, consider your greatest achievements.
Um, I would say the scores I'm most proud of, probably I was really proud of my mousetrap score. Like, that might be my most impressive score there. It's not a house high though.
Not,
Um,
yeah, because Kelly Tharp ran up like 14 million.
no, I think like 60 million. I have like 2 million or something, but like, uh, but he played for 30, 40 hours or something, I think.
Yeah,
Uh, I mean, I played for,
52 million. It's
I think you
actually
can get,
52 million.
I think I played for 50 minutes or an hour or so. I don't remember what I played for, but I think that's one of my more impressive scores. I would say my Sky Shark score is pretty good. Uh, it's probably one of my most impressive ones, I think. I don't know.
Yeah,
I've
it
got it.
is.
I would say, uh,
Oh, somebody got that. Bedard
oh, that
got
one's not a
that.
house. Well, Bedard he's crazy at that game. Yeah.
Yes.
The- we have a
1.9
word.
million though is pretty impressive.
I think I did 5 or 6. I think that scores at Retrocade actually, but I think I did 6 loops or so. And there's no free guys in that game, so you get it's you get one free guy and that's it. Um, I did. I think the score in you played Assault. I think the Assault score is one of my best scores at the arcade.
Yes,
That
I
might be a house. That's a house
still
high. That's a house
it's
high.
still a house high. Now, John McAllister, I think, broke 700,000. What that's a Twin Galaxy score. That's not official. That's not in arcade.
Now that score,
Yes,
I think I can do a lot better than that 626. I know I can. I feel
well,
like
if you can once CC the game, then you're going to get over 700,000.
yeah.
Um,
The problem
I
with that
mean,
game
I've
is just
gotten.
it's a very long game, and I just don't like. I don't think I'm gonna go back to that game.
I'd still like to take that score back though. Now I've
Okay.
gotten close to 600,000. Well, actually, here's I can get 500,000 or break 500,000 consistently. It's just the last 2 levels of the game.
But you're playing for
Also,
45 minutes or something at that point. It's like,
yes, I know.
mm,
When I go up to the Galvin Ghost, I don't play this every time. And the other problem with me playing it, trying to play it every time I go up there, is in a spot where there's high traffic and it's cramped. It's like the space between the machine and the rows of arcades is just the length of a person. So I basically have to close the pathway off for me to even play this, which is annoying. So I basically have to play the game when the arcade opens or very late at night to
hmm.
stop people from pushing up against me, trying to get behind me to cross and walk to, because I don't know, it's a pain in the butt having people bump me while I'm playing, because this game is intense. You're trying to dodge bullets, and you don't know. The other part of this is enemies can sneak up behind you and just shoot you, and you can't see them coming because they're behind you, as opposed to in front of you, because of where your tank is positioned on the screen. All right.
Yes.
There were some other games that were pretty hard for you to get, and you've had them for quite some time, and I don't think they're beatable, or at least I haven't seen anybody try.
Really?
Crackdown, I believe. Crackdown by Sega.
Score. That's a very
It is. It is.
What's the MARP world record on that? Probably 10 times my score. I don't even know. Like,
I have no idea. I mean, there's online.
Jamie and I were playing that game. We both had a good time playing that game, but there's no anybody who puts, if you go and put anybody who puts not even a decent like amount of time to that will demolish that score. What's the world record on that game?
What's the world record?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can look it up.
Forget it. It's gonna take too long.
It's gonna take I tried it. I mean, I've succeeded in the no bullet bonus in the first level, but it's like too many cheap deaths is what stopped me from, let's say, going any further. That I think I scored about. I did put scoring on this game. What did I get? I got about. Well, maybe not. I guess I didn't put scoring on this game. I thought I did.
I like this game. I still play it from time to time, but
it's hard.
I don't play it like competitive. Like I'm like, because it's in that first row. So I like when I just walking by, I'm like, oh, I'll just play this for whatever. Then I realize like I don't remember what I'm doing, kind of thing. I like that game. That's a fun game though.
So here's So let's talk about one of the things you're best known for is your well, besides Zelda, I also have a great admiration for the promos you cut.
My promos?
You've cut promos in the past, and I think they're pretty legendary.
I thought you were going to talk about my looks or something, my hair.
I don't know about. Well, you also have a way with words. You have a way with words. You kind of cut like the pro wrestler villain promos, and do a very good job of it.
When I'm dealing with people like Andrew or something, or people like you, it's very easy to punch down.
Yes, or kick a man when they're down.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play this, and let's just kind of do a live reaction, because this is why
Which one is this?
This is the rock and rope reveal.
When you don't play it. Don't play
it.
I don't like it. No.
You don't like it.
No.
It's legendary.
I remember that.
Legendary.
No, it's not. I think did you play that a few months ago or something?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, people have seen it. It's no good.
Okay. I mean, that was some of the things you were saying. The Sultan of Sega, the Gates of Atari, Era of Moss.
I rambled too long. I didn't like it.
You rambled too long? Have you seen my promos?
I'm more proud of the one when I won the Commander series, and I put Andrew in his place. I was more proud of that one.
I don't know if that's still online, but I would have to have found it ahead of time for me to do that, for me to play that for tonight.
You're involved in that one.
Well, I wish I were.
I
mean,
put
I
you
cut
over.
a promo. I know. I cut a promo ahead of time, talking about my participation in it before the date got changed again.
Well, I was trying to, my mindset was, ooh, I gotta rile Andrew up. How do I rile
Right.
him up? And there's nothing in the world that riles him more than the names Stephen Lucas and James White.
I
Those
do
are the
remember
reasons.
that.
That is the reason he gets up in the morning every day, and so like, ooh, I mean, yeah.
Although he shouldn't be so riled up about hearing my name as much because, I kind of got on his side for having another Rainest Gamer of the Year.
Oh,
and it ended up going to Zurst.
Just hearing your name, you can see the thing spinning. He heard you were going to be there last Monday, so he didn't even show up.
Well, I wanted to be there, but things.
You were there 10 days
I
ago.
wish I were there, but I injured my hand.
9 days ago, you were there.
Well, yeah, a couple of weeks ago. Yes, I was there.
Yeah, and he didn't want to show up because you were there.
Well, it's a holiday weekend. He doesn't show up. He typically doesn't show up during the holiday weekends.
No, he literally said, "I know Steven's going to be there, so I'm not going to be there."
See, you really hate me that much?
I think hate's a strong word, but it's appropriate.
I mean, I asked him. I mean, he's one of the most requested guests for the podcast, and I went to ask him if he'd come on the podcast, and it's like the first thing out of his mouth is, "What you want, Steven?" And in fact, Chris was standing there, and he chewed him out for kind of being rude. It's like,
yeah, well, that's Andrew.
So then Andrew changed his tune immediately. It's like, what can I do for you, Steven?
Oh, okay.
Something
He's
like
not coming on the podcast.
No, he doesn't want to do anybody's podcast. He kind of doesn't like doing interviews in general. So it's kind of hard for him to even get interviewed by Doc Mack. Tracy, you want to know why you don't get why anybody would do us? I'm very opinionated. That's why I'm hated.
Ooh. Can I make a top 5 list of reasons to hate Stephen Lucas?
Go for it.
Okay, number 1,
I won't be offended.
Walks around the arcade without any shoes.
I don't walk around without any shoes. I just take them off at the machine I'm at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because my feet are just uncomfortable. I don't know what's wrong with my feet. They get overly they overheat for some reason.
This is the kind of content. This is the kind of content people want to hear when they listen to this podcast. So, Stephen, why don't you take the next 5 minutes to talk about your feet?
No, go ahead. All right. After the shoes, what else?
Just your so I remember this was a good one. Just your inability to read the room at times.
Well, yes, I'll agree with that one.
Oh, you're aware. That's great.
I do have answers as to why maybe that is.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's required some testing. Yes.
Oh,
go ahead. Number 3.
Oh, you really want to hear all of these? Oh,
yes, I do.
Just your I'm
admitting the stuff, so
I think most people
since you bring it up, a bit obnoxious. Yes, I am a little bit enthusiastic, but then then you kind of have that quality as well. Don't you?
Yeah, I'm aware. But it's also part of a character, I think. But with you, it's an actual personal hiccup.
Personality, yes. Well, yes. Well, who hasn't been obnoxious? Well, yes. There's several people at the arcade that are obnoxious. James White has been deemed obnoxious. So is Norbert Vale. So is Fred DeHart. So is, who else? Blonde Bunny has been deemed obnoxious. So we got good company here.
Yeah, you're in that company, I would say.
It's just in a different way. Mm-hmm. What was number 2?
Oh, I don't know. I think I've said what I need.
5. So you only had 3.
You know, we have like a 2-hour time limit on this here. Okay, you know, so.
I don't know about 2 hours. I mean, the record holder is Brandon Travis with 3.5.
Oh, geez. Okay.
I mean, I'm long-winded, of course. I don't know about that. Mases has a ginger just like I do.
Mine is not really an orange cat. It's I think it's called muted orange. Because there's really no orange. It's just like it's like a beige tan cat. But who, you know, again, what are we talking about cats here?
Anyway, so so it's basically you just have 3.
Well, you know, see, imagine if this is like a tree here. All right, there's the shoes, the inability to read the room. When you mix personal opinions and politics into the arcade, then
gaming. Well, that's another can of worms there, because you know how much politics has been trying to infest gaming of late.
Sure. But then under the obnoxious tree, like under that category, there's like all sorts of different spawns. I remember like I think you came up to me at the T20 this year, and you're like, "Yeah, my goal is I hope to finish in the top 3." I think that's what you said, right?
Well, I think it was top 5.
And I think I responded with, "I think there's a 0% chance that you finish in the top 5."
Well, I didn't finish in the top 5. Right.
Like, there's a lot of people that are self-aware about their ability. You are not one of them. You thought you legitimately had a chance to beat somebody like a Pearl or Kiwi or Liming. You literally thought you could beat them.
I don't know if I can literally beat them. Now, certainly, I know in past years that T20 was 4 days instead of 3, and because of that extra day, I was able to put more times in on the game, and then I got up to like 4th place, just outside the money. And then the amount of play time in subsequent years kept getting reduced, and now it's like 21 hours spread out over 3 days. And 20 games is a lot. Does it?
No, it doesn't matter. It's a matter of who's in the competition. You kind of know like.
Well, it also matters that, in 3 days instead of 4, you might have a rough time on one day, and then you're just like killing it the next day.
Like, it's there. Like, I think if Doc tailored a T20 and picked 20 games in the arcade that I have the house high or 2nd place or 3rd place, and put it in a T20, and we had the same people that were in this past T20, I would finish 5th. Because the better players are just that much better than everybody else. And I'm well aware of that. Most people that are knowledgeable are aware of that. But then other people just have no comprehension of that kind of stuff.
And some people are just they just have it. They just they play the game, never played a game before, and then somehow they're once seeing it after 1 or 2 plays. I don't know how they do it.
I mean, there's like a lot of reasons you can be good at the arcade or be one of the better players. And, at a certain point, especially in a T20, it comes down to skill. and the skill level between the elite players, somebody like a Zerst, somebody like a Kiwi, the difference in skill level between them and like the mere mortals like myself or Jamie or Fred, or it's just a substantial skill difference. And it's like you can't compete with those kind of people. And the degree of how much somebody's willing to prepare, that kind of stuff.
Okay. I also remember you, speaking of lists, there's another list you have. It's the 4 things that you say will never happen, never ever happen at Galloping Ghost Arcade. Do you recall
4-3.
what you 4-3?
Number 1 on the list was, I think, the release of Dark Presence.
Right.
That game's never coming out.
But yet you put $5,000 to become an executive producer on the documentary Ghost Lord: The Quest for Dark Presence.
Yeah, the documentary will come out, but the game's not coming out.
You don't think
the documentary will be out before the game comes out? Take that to the bank.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, the 3rd floor of the Galloping Ghost. That's not happening.
Well, we gotta get 2nd floor first.
Yeah, an updated arcade.
I think all they just have to do is make it live. I don't know why they're waiting. Game 2000.
It's a 10-year development cycle to make a scoreboard website.
Doc is the busiest man in gaming, I think, which is why it's taking this long.
No, that's not why it's taking this long. That has nothing to do why it's taking this long.
What's your theory?
Oh, geez, I don't even know where to begin on this one.
All right, just give me the Cliff Notes version. Or just pick 3 things and just stick with that.
Well, from my understanding, the back end of Arcade as it currently exists is just broken.
Okay.
But I remember some of the developers that were previously working on the website knew that and fixed it. But at the end of the day, the problem comes with there's no sense of direction. We've been hearing for literally the last 9 years of all the features that Arcade's going to have, of which I wonder if those features are even
coded. Yeah.
Coded, it's just these are the features now. What are the features 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, a month from now? And it's like there's no desire to actually get it done. I feel like upgrading a website like that with a competent developer is a few week process. Done. I mean, building one from the ground up is a 5-day process, I think, with every feature you want. It's a matter of getting the data in. But
I think the data is the problem, though, the data structure, because, I've had to argue. I've been kind of distressed with, I'm part of a break fix team at the state of Illinois, where you fix computer problems, and developers are wanting us to configure their software development suite when it's not our job. It's the company who deployed it, and it wasn't us. So
a competent person could do that in a few weeks and do every single feature that they ever want. But I don't know who's working on it now. It's probably Phil Diaz or something trying to learn coding from a Coding for Dummies book. So maybe 2029.
You know what? I gave up coding. Originally, I went to college to learn to code, and coding evolved way faster than the colleges could develop courses to teach it. Mm-hmm. It's easier to fix something than program it. And tech support is always going to be in demand. And that's where I went, and I seem to have excelled quite nicely at fixing problems, configuration, deployment, migration. That's where I shine.
Yes.
Because, there's a lot of adults who are not computer savvy.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people need hand holding in doing their trying to figure out how to do their jobs. And computers are just an intimidating thing. They kind of they long for the days of the manual typewriter and rotary phone, is how technology challenged some folks are.
Okay. What are we talking about at this point?
I don't know. You were talking about, well,
you started.
The problem,
I stopped paying attention about
Arcade
45
not getting
seconds.
opened, and development and getting the website ready, and it's taken way much longer.
Okay.
So the other thing was,
what else do you want to talk about?
There's one other thing that you said was never going to happen. You came up with two, Arcade and the Second Floor. What was the other one? Dark Presence not coming out. Okay, so that is
three things. That's it.
Okay. Gamer of the Year. A lot of people believe that you had a reign as Gamer of the Year, and that hasn't happened. The closest you came was when you were in a dogfight with Jamie Tibbetts. I think it was 2017.
Yeah.
Or 2018.
I think that was 17.
Yes.
Yeah. At the end of the day, he deserved to win that one. I think it was close. I mean,
I think the decider. I think the Tibbetts got the. I think it was decided on who got the last word, and Tibbetts' last word was he was the MVP of the Arcade Wars series against One Up Arcade Australia and a few other arcades around
Battle of the Arcades
parts of the world. Battle of the Arcades, yes.
Oh,
Battle of the Arcades.
Was that same? Was that? I don't know if that was in the same year.
Oh yes, it was.
But it was. No, he had a phenomenal year and he deserved to win. That was fine. I mean, but I feel with the Gamer of the Year, it's at the end of the day, this is very subjective. Like, and the criteria is non-existent. Like, nobody knows. Like, and it changes depending on whatever Doc is feeling the week before the award is given out. I mean, I will never believe that anything that happens in late August or September or October matters anywhere near what happens in June, July, and into August. Mm-hmm. But no, there's. I mean, I think every year the appropriate person has won from 2011 to 12, 13, 14, 15, all the way through 2019. I think everyone was accurate. It was a perfect lineage of the first 9 Gamers of the Year.
Or 10. Yeah.
No. The 2020 was the one. I actually think that was my year.
2020?
Yes. That was far and away my best year in terms of scores. There was there was a period of time where depending what the criteria is, though, because I don't know nobody knows what the criteria is, but I had.
Yeah, that is a topic.
There was a period of time where there were 12 consecutive weeks at the arcade, because I was tracking it, that I got a house high.
Right.
And some of them were like old house. I remember I was specifically targeting Rocco scores. So there was I took down like half a dozen scores from 2011, 2010, 2012. And that I feel if the year ended on March 15th, 2020, I think I had the best resume. Now, I don't want to take anything away from Pete Hahn, who won 2020, but I think it was kind of because of what happened from March till August, like nothing really happened. And
COVID changed everything. Yes.
but it was a cop out, I think, award to give to him, because truth be told, Pete had the best year in 2017. He had the best year in 2018. Maybe not 2019, but there's probably been like 6 years where Pete has had the best year.
Mm-hmm.
And like Pete also like because he's one of the most talented players at the arcade, and like he could have
Right.
won it year after year after year. I think he really could have, and deservingly so. And if it was purely based on scoring, there's other criteria. So I felt that was I feel the first hiccup, I think. But again, it's Doc. He can do whatever the heck he wants. But I thought
Now,
that was my
2021, I had the battle with Andrew, and
well,
I do,
it
I do remember you thought I wasn't a contender.
well, so at the time, this might be some revisionist history here by me, but like at the time, I felt okay, he gave it to Pete in 2020 because he was the best scorer for the year, which was undoubtedly the case. 2021 came, and that was probably the single best year. I think Matt Walters went and like looked at all the things, and like that was probably the single best year of scoring by any individual ever at the arcade, was Andrew's 20 to 2021 year.
Mm-hmm.
But Doc gave it to you. And you were, I think, very deserving as well. So much because you were so like relentless in going after it, because there's other factors. The fact that it takes Andrew 10 minutes to get to the arcade, it takes you 3.5 hours to get to the arcade. Something to consider, I think. But I
I wanted
feel
it bad enough because it's like if I didn't win it that year, it was not going to happen.
it was one of
And
those. The criteria for 2021 was a different criteria than 2020. I think that's just
right.
a fact, because in 2020 he gave it purely based on number of high scores or scoring. In 2021 he did not do that. So it made me like, the revisionist history part of me thinks this is not based on scoring, at least not entirely. That's a factor, but it's not the only factor, although some years it is the only factor. So it's however he felt that week. I also feel there's some very selectiveness of this where like I think Doc truly wants to give it to somebody different every year. I think so.
I do too.
And so like, and Andrew, he just, I don't know, but I don't think they have a rapport. I think there's a little bit of bias with that. And so because Andrew doesn't talk to Doc really, he's nothing wrong with their relationship, he's just not an outgoing person, he doesn't interact. And I think that kind of affected it. So I mean, if it was based on scoring, Andrew was the best. I still think that was probably the best single year of any player ever at that arcade. But I look at it now, and I think that was fine, because I think you were clearly, you put a lot of effort into going there. And yeah, I mean, no problem. And now the following year he gave to Andrew though.
Yes. And I was perfectly fine with that.
But it's again a weird criteria, because his 2022 was nowhere even close to it as good as his 2021 in terms of scoring, not even in the same ballpark. But he did a lot of extra stuff as well. But more so, really, since the 2021, there's been no contenders for this. So, he gave it to him 2022, which I get it. It makes sense to me.
The last 2 years, it's been kind of all focused on T20, because 23, Doc was threatening not to give out Gamer of the Year. He had considered vacating the belt and just let it be vacant for an entire year, because I don't think he felt that anybody was really fighting for the title. And
what I don't understand about 2023 is, I actually think I just made this comment about how Andrew's 2021 was better than his 2022.
Yeah.
But his 2023 was better than his 2022, I thought.
Yes. I agree with that one.
And like, but then he was like, I already gave it to him twice. And I think it was just one of those, well, I want to give it to somebody else. again,
And I,
like I said, it was a
although
perfect lineage for the first 9 years, and then 20, 21, 22. It's all up in the air of what the heck the criteria is. Nobody knows. Nobody. Like I don't even think Doc
truth
knows. I think
truth be told, Zurst, when he had his first reign with the title, his 2023, well, his 2018, which was the year Placky won, or is it 19? One of the two.
18. Black was 18. Andrew was 19.
Okay, 18. That particular season, T20 happened to occur twice within a 12-month period. It was like 10 months apart, and Zurst won both of them the same calendar year, or well, same season, I guess. That was the year I thought Zurst should have had a reign with the belt, but or at least that year.
Possibly, but
Placky
I
beat
don't.
him out. Placky
I
beat
think
him out because he was the first one to complete or be the first winner of an arcade machine by completing your um, achievement cards.
Chris did a lot of. He was the clear front runner that year. There was no everybody. I think I kind of said this a few times. Every year from 2011 to 2019, minus I think 17, there was some discussion, but every other year it was almost unanimous. I think
Right.
there was no real discrepancy of who felt who was going to win, and I think including that year, because I don't think anybody truly really thought that I think Zurst is a one of the strongest players that's ever been to that arcade, but he's not perceived as a person who goes to the arcade. He doesn't go to that arcade.
He's
He
not
does
regular.
yeah, not a regular. I don't know if he. I know there was a period of time where I think he was coming like one weekend of the year. I think in July they did like a shmups meetup or something. But uh, like you would think,
Claudio called him Gamer of the Weekend.
you would think, well, that's just crying over spilled milk, I think a little bit, but you don't get mad at Zurst for that. You get mad at Doc
No.
for poor judgment, I think. But
oh, there she says it too.
He didn't do anything wrong, and
right.
so anybody who gets mad at him is I don't take those people serious.
I mean, I agreed with him winning at 23, not 24. Just put it that way.
It's just silly at that point, because why not just why didn't he win 22 then, or
he won 9 times. I mean, yeah, why didn't he win it the year where he won it twice in the same calendar year? I mean, arguments can be made that he could have silly in 20. Well, I didn't boo him. I think people just booed the decision, but not Zurst himself, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I think 23 was basically, he should have had a reign with the belt because of his performance at T20, but not twice in a row, I think. And plus, here's the other thing. You talk about you had a better year the previous year, but the year after you don't perform as well, but you get the achievement anyway. Zurst actually had more top scores in T20 in 2023 than he did in 24. He had 9 in 23, but had 5 in 24, and Lyman and Pearl actually did better in their T20 performances because they all tied with 5 scores each. You had 3.
Yeah.
But Lyman and Pearl didn't get it. Or didn't get Game of the Year. So I don't know. Oh, look at this. Remember after the T24, I tried to give him the Game of the Year belt and he said no, he didn't need it. Yeah, yeah. Um, I had the belt in my hand, so I just took it around and had everybody touch the belt to put their positive energy into it. Well, I thought that was kind of like, we're all Galloping Ghost gamers. We believe in the Galloping Ghost arcade and the spirit of the game, and we put all our positive energy into the belt, and then the power gets passed on to the next champion. Well, it got passed back to Sir. So, um, and now in this current season, there's no front runner.
Oh yes, there is.
I
Yes, there is.
Who do you think the front runner is?
I can say I can make a guarantee right now. Ben
Okay,
Falls will be the gamer of the year as long as he continues to go to the arcade.
Ben
Hands down.
Falls.
I
Okay, I'm gonna write his name down, and I'm gonna hold on to that.
You take it to the bank. I truly like. I've seen him play, and I think he's the best player that's ever been to the arcade that goes regularly.
Okay,
I don't even think it's close either. Actually,
I mean, the last few years he hadn't been around, but this year he has been around a lot more regularly. Although he didn't make T20 this year.
He was there just to play in the side tournament, but then he found out there was no side tournament, so he didn't play. But he was there.
Oh, he was there, so he didn't. Okay, well, crap.
He was just hanging out.
All right.
He was watching me play Lupin. We were talking Lupin. I remember that.
Lupin.
Yeah, but he.
That game.
Like I was watching him play. He's doing his level 2 card right now.
Mm-hmm.
And like some of the things on his card are crazy. I think he's got to get 30,000 on Space Invaders. He's got to get 300,000 on Frogger. Just the other day he put up 85,000. The other day he put up.
He's got to roll the score 3 times.
He put up 85,000 on Track and Field last week. Which, I mean, there's better scores out there, but I mean, like, across how many different games? Like,
it's not the marathon setting, by the way. It's you get to the
all right.
Was it high jump?
Yeah.
And that event loops until you fail 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, like, to the average person, getting 300,000 on Frogger is like, I remember talking. Ben's very laid back. He's like, yeah, that might be a little tough. I think I can do it. Like, I'm like everybody else. It's like, what? And he was playing Space Invaders the other day, and he was shown, like, I was watching him play, and I learned the strategies behind it, and he's got to count how many shots before the guy comes out, and it's like, there's no room for error over the course of 45 minutes, basically, or minimal room for error. But he's also such a patient player. I got to tell a Ben Falls story real quick.
Okay.
So this was like 2 months ago or something. He comes in to play Moon Patrol, to take the Moon Patrol record. And he's put up 1 point some million on Moon Patrol already. He's a phenomenal player at the game. And he plays, and he's using the Galloping Ghost stuff, and the power goes out. He gets whatever, 500,000 points. He plays for 2 hours, and like, oh, score doesn't count. He's like, oh, darn. So then, like, he goes and he brings his own GoPro that he bought, and goes and plays. This was like a month ago now. I think he went to go play. And now he's recording on his own machine, and he realized, oh, the thing turned off after half an hour. Put up 600,000. These are like 2-hour games of Moon Patrol. He keeps beating and getting the house high, but the score doesn't count. Then the following week, he comes. This time he brings a power pack with him. And he connects to the GoPro, and it turned off a third time, like the battery, so he's played like 8 hours of Moon Patrol and beaten this house high 3 times or 4 times. I don't even think he has it yet, because you talk to him, he's like, yeah, I gotta go play some Moon Patrol. Like, but he loves the game, but it's like such like Like, I can imagine if it was any other player, they would be like losing their mind over this. And he played Donkey Kong
Yeah.
3 a few weeks ago, or a couple months ago, put up whatever 1.6 million or something, some crazy score. But like his score was actually much higher. But that's when the record stopped working because the Galloping Ghost hardware like so. You know, he yeah, there's just a whole bunch of like things about that. But no, he's
Yeah,
such
I'd
a
be
phenomenal player.
ripping my hair out over that. Which is why I bring my own camera and my own battery packs because, I had filmed so many wrestling matches over the years and running ringside with a camera on a pole and capturing all the action. And I need that battery to last the entire event. I have multiple batteries, so if the battery's and the screen tells me how many minutes of power are left, and if it gets below a certain threshold, it's time to swap it. Or if I can plug it in somewhere, which is what I did with Assault, is because there was a place to plug it in right behind me. So I'd set the tripod in between the rows of the machines, that is where the power strips are, plug it in. Then I don't have to worry about the battery running out. I just have to worry about space on the SD card.
Riveting information yet again.
Well, you brought up all the trials and tribulations that Ben Falls went through. I mean, why not share?
Yeah.
I've had the cameras like knocked over by kids, and I was like, did he break the camera?
I actually paid those children to go do that, by the way. But yeah,
paid children to do that. That would be a Mases move, yes. Now, besides the gaming stuff and Zelda, you're also involved in youth baseball. You manage a league still. Is that still happening?
Still happening. That's
you still
I don't know what that has to do with this podcast, but yes.
I don't know. It has been a factor in the amount of free time you've had to pursue Gamer of the Year.
I administrate a baseball league every year. We have about 700 teams that participate, and that takes up a significant amount of my time from April to October. I administrate the league. I usually coach a team, and I actually play in the adult league too.
How good of a player are you?
I mean, the league I play in, my oldest age group in my league is 18 and up. So there's no, but it's 90%, 95% of the kids, I'd say. I say kids, but they're 25 and younger, or 26, 27-year-olds. So like the team I have is like a lot of kids that I coached 10 years ago, and they're like 21-year-old, 22-year-olds. It's all a bunch of 18 to 22-year-olds, and then this 30-year-old.
Enjoy your 30s while you can, because I wish I was still in my 30s, and now I'm in my 50s. I won Game of the Year at age 50. So, James White is also my age as well. And we're still going. Although, Jimbo Slice wants to dial it back or keeps wanting to hold himself back for some reason. I don't know.
Well, he's kind of blame Andrew.
Blame Andrew? Okay. Question in chat. What is your favorite Zelda game?
Well, we talked about that earlier. I think it's a Link to the Past.
Yes. Talking retirement? Well, we'll see.
Oh, yeah. I was joking around with Jimbo. I asked him, I'm like, should we throw him do we want you to throw
a retirement party?
Yeah, you want a retirement party. No, but no, Jimbo's a good guy. I like him. He could be, he's a character. Blame Andrew, though.
He's won every belt except the T20 title. So,
Andrew, I was talking to him later. This was a few weeks ago. He like pounds his chest about this accomplishment, but he takes pride in the fact that James White has not had a single house high in the last 5 years that has stuck. Because Andrew specifically, if he sees he got a score, he specifically goes and plays it until he beats it, and he's relentless. And it's just like, it's silly.
Yeah, same goes with my scores as well.
Yes, of course. Yeah,
overwhelming majority.
I mean, if,
oh,
I don't know what I have, like 15 house highs or something. Like if Andrew wanted to, in 3 months, I would have 0, maybe not 0, but like 2 or 3 house highs. I think he can beat every single one of mine if he puts some.
well, I don't know if you. Well, let me throw this up here once I get it up on the screen because I'm gonna have to advance to the page. Here it is. Let me see. Present. Throw this up there. This is the infamous power rankings, which is a bad metric, or at least, well, Doc says it's a bad metric. I think you've said it's a bad metric, but we have to work with what we've got. You have, you got 40 house highs currently at TGA. 40.
You earlier asked me what my best scores were at the arcade, what I felt. And the first 2 that came to mind was my Sky Shark and my Mousetrap.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of which are house highs, actually. So those mean nothing, but I have like there's probably like 5 scores of mine that are just the lowest of low hanging fruit because nobody's played the games. Where there's
what
like
games
3.
Would they be?
There's like this like there's one game I only played like 3 games of it, and I have the house high. It's like a water race, Hydra.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I've told Andrew, I'm like, go take it, go play 3 games, you'll beat my score.
I think I tried and I couldn't get anywhere close. And I played more than 3.
Mystery. I think that's still from the Monday Mystery score, or maybe the week after, or whatever.
You know what? Let me pull that up. I want to see what the mark is. It's probably due to it's probably got a starting level bonus if you skip ahead.
No, you just beat 2 levels and you get like a massive bonus or something. I didn't do it. I literally, like, I know sometimes people say like, oh, I only played X number of, like, I only played that twice. Like, this was one of the few. I literally have not put more than 5 credits into this game.
And I've tried to beat this score, or at least try to learn it, and it's like,
well, this is a skill level problem.
Yes. Also being familiar with the game would also help too, but I wasn't. And
I have no idea how to play this game.
I think you also have the score for Peter Packrat, and that's not easy to get either.
Well, this is also a stupid one because this one Jay was going after the score, and we got clarification.
It's on his card. It's on his challenge card.
But he likes this game, and I put the score up years ago. This is like over half a decade ago. But
2018.
This came up because I started at the highest difficulty. And you get like 650,000 or something for beating 1 level.
Yes. If you want to have any hope, you have to.
And you
start at the hardest level.
And you get a lot of points for beating that level too. Like, I'm not talking about just the bonus. That's all
it's
that
not
score
easy
is.
It's not easy to beat that either. I tried just to get, because I was just chasing tokens. I wasn't necessarily trying to beat the score because I didn't think I was going to, because of how hard it was. I just wanted to complete 1 level.
If somebody,
get that token haul,
a skillful player would beat that game in right away. Like, there's nothing difficult about that game.
I mean, the button placement, the mechanics is tough. Yes.
Fred Oaks is a very good player.
All right. I tried Crackdown. I mentioned that earlier, but that wasn't easy either. Just completely, I did. For some reason, I didn't put a score in. I don't know why. I'm gonna have to do that.
Crackdown is a decent score, I'd say. but the Peter
Yes.
Packer and the Hydra are not, I'd say. But, well, let me rephrase. The Peter Packer, because I played the Peter Packer quite a bit to try to beat that level. So I'm not going to
Yeah.
sit here and say that was not one or two. Like I probably put 40 token credits into that game or something. But
Right.
Hydra, no. And there's a few others I can think of off the top of my head that are not good scores.
I think I beat one of them recently. Do you know which one it is, or without me telling you? And it was off the arcade floor for quite a while because there wasn't room for it.
No, I don't know which one. What is it?
Escape from Planet of the Robot Monsters.
Oh, yes. Yeah, because Andrew has been hounding me every week to play that game.
And I actually had to throw the game too because I was running out of battery. I was like 30 minutes left and I was like trying to figure out, okay, should I was like, I pulled out the cell phone and started the recorder on it. And I was trying to position it so it could capture the screen alongside the camera in case the camera went out of battery. That way, the final score would count because another device was recording video of. Yes, I know. If a second camera was recording and there was no breakage of the video footage apart from camera angle, whatever I got to would still count at the end instead of when the first camera went dead, because they had to throw out a Pearl score because there was like a 35 1 minute gap due to a battery change.
That game was in some Halloween tournament, I think, some 10 years ago. That's where I think I got my score. I don't know anything about that game. That was not an impressive score. That's another one I think anybody could have gotten if they put a little bit of time into it.
And I put quite a bit of time into it. It took like my last run at it was my best, but it wasn't a full run because I had to throw it practically.
That's not a top 100 score of mine at the arcade. I
No.
don't think.
Question in the chat. What is your favorite game at the Ghost? I know that's always a hard question to answer.
I mean, I do like I don't know. There's a handful. There's a handful of games I play semi-regularly, I think. I do like the Raiden games, particular Raiden 1. I like Anteater. I have my own Anteater. I like I have Gain Ground. I like that game. That's a fun game. I play that a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of games that I play. I like Tutankhamun. That's a good game. That's fun. I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint a single game.
It always is. I mean, they ask me the same question. I can't answer. I have to give a list.
Assault is on there too. Yeah, Ben, that's for sure.
Yes. Future goals.
Not 720. Oh God.
I think Tracy,
no.
Does Tracy have the house site for that one? I think she does.
Ben, I think
no, it's Paperboy. Never mind.
I might rather play Street Fighter the movie, the game, than 720.
Well, that's
That game's atrocious. Like it's, and I think isn't the settings wrong or something? You were saying it's like, it's whatever
for 720.
Yeah, I don't know. But Ben's really good at the game, but like he said, something was off. Like the tickets or it, whatever. I don't know.
I haven't put much time in the game. Says it seems
That's
harder.
on my
Okay.
spreadsheet of games that I think I could have gotten better scores of, and then I've played it, and I'm like, I don't like this game. I don't want to play it anymore.
All right.
I only play games that are fun. I don't care about scores or competition. If it's not fun, I'm not going to play it. That's my criteria.
Okay. So I asked future goals. What are your future goals? At least in the gaming scene.
At the Galloping Ghosts, I would say I have a goal of I want to someday get to 100% in terms of putting a score on every single game that has that you're capable of putting a score in. I'm not that far off from that goal. I also have this like spreadsheet. I'm going alphabetical as well,
Right.
and like the first time through is I have it. I'm like A through. I think I'm on J right now of trying to get a score in every game. But then there's also it varies from game to game. Some games it's like I want to finish in the top 3 or top 5. Some games I want to beat. Some games I want to just do better than certain other players. So it's like there's no consistency across that. But I'm like looking at all my scores. I'm like it's a very random task I have, but it gets me to play more games, which I like. And like I go into the arcade each week and I look at my spreadsheet. I'm like, all right, what am I playing this week?
Cracker Jack wants to know what you think of Sinistar.
Since there's fun, that's okay. I haven't played it in a long time. I don't think it's on the floor right now. At Retrocade, I don't think it's on the floor. I could be wrong. I don't know if Scott's in here to confirm, but it's a fun game. It's yeah. I generally like classics, early 80 games. It is on the floor. Okay. Oops. There was a period of time where it wasn't, though. I'm not crazy.
All right. Well, I think we're towards the end of this interview. I should have asked. Arcades in your house. You have an arcade in your house, kind of like what I have in my. I had a garage built with an extra room to get the arcade games out of my basement and put it on a ground floor. Do you still have? I believe you still have arcade games in your house.
I don't have an arcade in my house, though. I do have in the wood shop in the basement. I do work on some games on occasion. It's a very the hobby of that is ebbs and flows a little bit. Like I hadn't done anything in years, but I recently started working on some stuff. And then most of the games I give to Scott at the Retrocade, and we have them on the floor over there, or he has them on the floor, I should say.
Okay, so you own games, but they're on the arcade floor at Retrocade.
They're basically Retrocades games at this point, like a lot of the Stern stuff. So I have a Anteater. I made a custom built Anteater with custom artwork and everything. That's probably my most proud game. I rebuilt a Bagman, and Scott installed like a super Bagman, like I think it's a J-Rock board, I think. I've got a Amadar, there was a Rescue, a Astro Invader, Stern Turtles, Tasmania, Minefield, Puyon. I think those are all the games that I have. Some of these are in various working condition, though. They're
Minefield of that group is the only one I've never heard of or seen.
Minefield's like so Stern had this thing of doing like a yin and yang for a lot of their games. Like there's a Berserk and then there's Frenzy. There's Scramble, there's Super Cobra, there's Bagman, Super Bagman. There's a lot of like sequels or similar style games. Minefield is basically another variant style of Rescue.
I'm gonna pull this one up because I want to see what it looks like.
It's a very rare game. Yeah, I bought it from this guy, a collector out in Hampshire. I have a working board set, and I have the cabinet, and I got the art done. I just got to piece it together.
Here we go. And I'm gonna
Yeah,
hide
it
that
looks and
banner.
plays like Rescue.
It's just with tanks and airplanes. Yeah. So you rescue? What are you rescuing here? Or are you just shooting up at the?
I don't really know the full play style of this game because I've played it very minimally. But I have a working. I know the game works.
There seems to be a lot on the ground. I don't know if you
Yeah,
have to avoid all those missiles, and I
well,
see
some of those are bombs,
mines.
and some of them are like wrenches you pick up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah.
And then you're destroying those buildings on the ground as well. Hmm. And this is all. Yeah. If you want to play this game, you have to go to Underground Retrocade. Galloping Ghost does not have this. What?
This game is in development in my wood shop.
Okay.
I have a working
Fair
board.
enough. Silly me.
Hopefully soon. I think the one game that's on the floor at Retrocade, there's a few, I should say, but of the collection of ones I made, I think Super Bagman is at the Retrocade.
Yes.
That's only at Retrocade. But I think Scott he's got a handful of games that are not at the Galloping Ghost.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, he's got a lot of pinball too. That's only at the
right. Yeah, there's and actively track
Astro Invader
as
well. Astro Invader is only at the Retrocade.
Yeah, that game is weird. It's like all these little invaders fill up these chutes, and you gotta blast the invaders in those chutes before the chute fills up, and then when the chute fills up, it comes after, just starts bombing you.
It's all those, like, I wouldn't call it a Space Invaders clone, but it's very Space Invaders-esque. It's very there were a lot of games in that, whatever. I don't know what Space Invaders is that 79? So from like
78.
70, like there's a lot of games. I think Astro Invader is 80. Might be even, it's like the first Stern, one of the first Stern games. And it's a very simplistic game. There's only 2 levels, and it just alternates between them. And it's really only 1 level, but there's just 2 different arrangements. But
well, I'll pull that up right now. This is what it looks like, and the scores for this aren't very high. It's like when you look at the high score for this game, you think it's low-hanging fruit, and then when you start playing, you find out the hard way it's really not.
So the first levels, they just come left to right, and then left to right, and then the second level they come randomly. As soon as the chute fills up, then it starts shooting. And if it anyway, it's a lot harder than it looks. Let's put it that way. This first level isn't, but then it does, because it goes faster. And then, like, if the space shuttle, like, or the alien base hits the ground, then you lose a life.
But
now these things are hitting. Yeah. So these things, if they hit the ground, they create like a zap that if your ship is within proximity of it, it'll creates like an electric attack.
Right.
So this goes slow, but like it starts going faster, and like, so now you see these things on the right that are just hitting the ground. Like if a spaceship came on the right side during that period of time, you'd be in trouble. But
now you'd think, well, I'll just shoot all the invaders on one side, and then the other side it can drop invaders to its heart's content, but you don't want to do that.
It's wherever the shuttle comes. But now level 2, so that one, level 1 is easy because it goes left to right, left to right. Now it randomly distributes them, so there's not much of a pattern. Anyway, I don't know what the hell we're doing here. We're 2.5 hours in, and we're talking about Astro Invader.
Well, I don't think too many people are familiar with the game, so I just want to make sure people see what it looks like before we get out of here. Anyway, stop the screen there. All right. Oh, last comments from the feed. Yes, GGA should get Felix Jr.
Well, the problem with Felix Jr. is that it's not a real game, so
no.
I don't think Doc used to have stuff like that, but not anymore. Like, so unless it was originally released on arcades, he won't put it up. I think that's his
quasi-release, I guess.
No, it never came out on arcades.
Well, not back then, but yeah.
No, I'm saying, well, that game came out in 2014, Fix It Felix Jr.?
Yeah. Same year as the movie.
But it didn't come out on arcades. It came out on Steam or PC or whatever it was.
Well, they built cabinets and put the game in it and put it on. It's basically a Donkey Kong like cabinet.
Well,
Flash game, okay.
Who did that? Not the official.
I guess Disney did that, kind of technically.
I don't think there was never an official arcade cabinet of that game. Okay. I think that was a fan movement, and like secondhand, I think people made artwork for it or whatever to make it a cabinet.
All right. Yeah. Mases, I want to thank you for joining me for tonight. If there's anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
No, nothing to plug. Glad to bring some credibility to this show.
I think you brought a lot of credibility to the show. You're one of the most well-known figures at Galvin Ghost Arcade and Underground Retrocade. Well, pretty much the entire Chicago gaming scene, for that matter. We just need you to. We would like to have you make appearances in Blade Wars tournament because I think your promos. I think you would intimidate a lot of the competition.
I think. I'm not. I would say I'm not opposed to fighting games, but it's not a genre that I really like. I did used to play in the old Galloping Ghost tournaments back in 2010 or 2011. There was the fighting game tournaments. This is back when they had the big. I don't know if this is before your time. Were you ever there?
Fight Night.
No, this was before that. They had it used to be you walk into the arcade and the entire left side were the giant cabinets where they were like the showcase cabinets, whatever. It was like the massive whatever, like 40-inch screen or something. Yeah. And like it was like the pedestal controls. But they were custom cabinets, and they were I remember there was a Blaze Blue, there was a Guilty Gear, there was a Marvel vs. Capcom 3, there's a Mortal Kombat 9. These were all like consoles that had or cabinets that had like PlayStation 5s in there, I think. Or PlayStation whatever it was, I think 4 was at the time, or 3. And Doc used to do tournaments like every week or every other week. So I remember there were some Mortal Kombat 9 tournaments that I played in. Those were fun. Now, that was the old days, but I don't know. I'm not very I don't mind playing fighting games in a head-to-head fashion. I really dislike playing fighting games for points though. I think it's silly. Like I mean,
well, there's a lot of games. Yes, there's a lot of games that don't have any scoring. It's just basically how fast you can 1cc it. Is that best? Well, yes. The later Mortal Kombat games, starting from MK2 onward, it's how fast can you 1cc it?
Yeah, I think it's silly, and it's fighting games
it's designed for speed running, isn't it?
No, they're designed for head-to-head play. I really feel like I'm not suggesting there's no single player mode, but like I think a lot of those games, especially early on, like, the single player aspect was just there almost like for practice kind of thing. Like,
Okay, that's fair. Yep. All right, Mases, you're on Twitch. Zelda Dungeon. Give him a follow. And also be sure to visit his website, zeldadungeon.net, for all the latest Legend of Zelda news, tips, tricks, and whatever else. There seems to be a lot. Games, wikis, discussion. Yeah, there's even a podcast called Definitively Ranking.
no,
Oh,
the
the
Zelda
Zelda Cast. The Zelda Cast. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Mases.
It's a pretty popular podcast. You wouldn't know anything about that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of podcasts out there, and this has run 342 episodes thus far. So that's a lot of audio to load up on your MP3 player and listen to as you're making road trips.
Yeah, like what is this, 2012 with that description right there?
I don't know.
On your MP3 player,
or you could load it on your phone and have it play through your Bluetooth speaker or whatever. Anyway, Mases, thank you for coming in. I didn't mention the car crash. I mean, nothing holds you down.
100%. I'm back.
Yes, you were like back in the arcade like a few days after having
8
that
days
experience.
later, I went to the arcade. Yeah,
and you were just crushing scores left and right.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, boss.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. Enjoy the rest of your crime fighting, you angry conservative crime fighter.
Well, I hope to see you around the arcade soon, and maybe during maybe Thanksgiving weekend too. We'll see.
Okay. Goodbye.
Well, have a good night. All right, that was the Mases Hagopian. I am going to rate a channel. I'm going to go ahead and show this off, though. So this is an update on high scores that come in. And Underground Retrocade put in a few scores. Yes. They have new world records that are higher than the house highs at Galloping Ghost. Well, the arcade house highs. James Morris at Underground Retrocade has a new world record on Konami's Aliens, getting over 1 million, 1.07 million points. That was done last weekend. They did a marathon of kind of going after world records. Now they didn't post the exact numbers online. I was able to get this number because this score was submitted to Twin Galaxies. Morris also topped the house high at Galloping Ghost, scoring 1.7 million on a recent Monday mystery game. Gurikadan, if I can pronounce that correctly. Stephen Holmes also crushed the Marshall Master score, getting 1.59 million on it. R-Type 2 and the ROM versions are a little different. There's a harder and an easier version of R-Type, so I don't know what version of this one is. Galloping Ghost has the hard one. Pete Petorano, yeah, almost 700K on R-Type 2. And Andrew, speaking of Andrew, 1cc Castle Dragon getting 1.5 million. My problem with this game is the last level. The screen is being spammed with so many enemies. It's hard to keep up with them, unfortunately, and that's usually what ends your game there. And Brian Weisberg took the house high at Technomancer. And of course, the chase for tokens. Yes, Andrew is Professor Token Taker. He's surpassed James White in tokens, and I don't think James White is eager to take that informal title back, but we'll have to see. And I showed this earlier. Yeah, a little jockeying for position. Lemming and Mases are going to have a fight for 4th place, as Jim Patzer and Eric Program have a fight over 7th. And the Arcade Wars game. Yes, Donkey Kong Jr. and Underground Retrocade is leading this. Mases has the 3rd place score on his team at 42,000. I have 67,000 on the Galloping Ghost team, but Steve Zero. Oh gosh, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Steve C. Almost 350,000. That is a very impressive score for Donkey Kong Jr. and probably going to be unbeatable. I don't know if Garcade's going to be able to catch up if two more people put a score in. I thought Jim Patzer would put a score in on DK Jr., but has not yet. And be sure to follow me on my Facebook page, facebook.com, Crimeycade. And who's my next guest? Well, next week, I will not be doing a podcast next week because it's Thanksgiving. It'll be 2 weeks from now because, next Thursday's Thanksgiving Day. And I haven't lined up a guest yet, so we'll see who will be. Yes, believe in Jimbo. Jimbo's a great player. I am going to raid Lord BBH's stream. He is playing Cross Swords, and he's doing 1cc attempts. So until next time, I am the Mad Conservative Crime Fighter, Stephen Lucas, former Game of the Year. And thank you for everybody who's joined me tonight. And hope to see you around the arcade soon. And have a good night, everybody. Let's start the raid.